Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Merry, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Oh, look what Santa brought us. Oh, hey Pippas. Well, she didn't really come this Christmas. She's been around for a while. But hey, that's not what I wanted to show you. What did I want to show you, as a matter of fact? Yes, I got my nail bag on. Yes, I'm ready to work. Got my knee pad out. Got some other stuff here. And what do you suppose we're going to do here? Look at this. A directional track fixture. This is something different than a track light. You see this here? This is like a track light. It's got a head on there that you can swivel into place, but it goes right over the box. So there's no track light needed. And that's what I kind of wanted to do here. As you know, we're still at the condo. I'm still making how-to videos for my video series for the condo. And in this area, right there and right there, okay, there used to be a track light there. A little square box was right there, and then the track went out this way. And then there was one little swivel head on there. And it was the same type of deal over there. Okay? But after I took them down, I thought, oh, we'll put them back up. And then afterwards, I thought, well, what could we do? Could we do something slightly different? And we were sitting back trying to decide what to do with that. And we were thinking, at first we were thinking, maybe hanging some pendant lights, like a cobalt blue or something like that, because we found this and we hung this in the window. This was just a regular window, and this was a stained glass thing of a peacock. Isn't that kind of cool? And then we tied that up to the header using just some wire and some of those swag hooks for the top. And so we thought, how else could we bring some more blue in here? And I thought, okay, that might be kind of nice. But the only problem with that is we watch the TV right here. Here's where we've got the couch and stuff. Do we really want a pendant light turned on at night while we're watching TV over here? Have this light kind of come down on you. Have the light kind of come down. It's almost in line with the TV. See where the edge of the TV is? Look. And so if the pendant light was there, are we ever going to turn that on? Probably never turn the pendant light on if we had something like that. Maybe it's just something there for looks and we never turn it on. Now here's the switch for that, the paddle switch. And what we decided to do was put these, instead of doing regular track lights, just doing something like this. And you know, they're just white and stuff, and I kind of wanted them to kind of blend up into the ceiling. And you know, when you come into the condo, it's not going to be overpowering or anything. It's just there. And so on those, I'm going to decide later on, and I'll make a video of it too. I'm going to take this paddle switch out, and I'll probably put a dimmer light switch in there for these. And I'm not even quite sure if these lights will dim. Nowadays, everything is LED. See this? LED. And I was also looking to see if this came with the bulb. And see right here, you always got to look at stuff. See here, no bulbs required. That means the bulb that comes with it. Or I don't even know if there's a bulb. It might be a self-contained thing. And a little down along the edges, that might be where the light is. I'm not quite sure. Okay, but I have a feeling I can dim it. Now sometimes it'll say on here, if I wanted to read this enough, it'll probably say whether or not it's dimmable or not. Look at the light. It says manufacturer free. Light shines brighter and lasts up to 46 years. Are you kidding me? No bulbs required. Oh, look at that right there. Dimmable. Now sometimes you got to look at light fixtures because some LEDs you can dim, some other ones you cannot dim, believe it or not. Okay, so I think I'm set. I think I'm set to put those two up there. I don't think it's going to it's gonna look that bad. It's not gonna be overbearing. And see, I'm not even quite sure why they put track lights there, other than the fact that this one, you can kind of shine it over kind of towards the corner. Granted, we can't really put a picture there. Momi bought this on our travels. She liked that, and she's from Hawaii, and her son said, "Hey, Mom, that kind of looks like you." And that's a queen of, I forget her name. And anyway, she decided she wanted to hang it there. So isn't that going to be perfect for this light to angle down on it? And then if I don't want it as bright, then I can dim it. And that's why I want to put the dimmable light dimmer switch in right over there. Okay, so if you want to watch that, that's going to be my project coming up. Now these light fixtures, they're like $35 each just for one. Yeah, for one. And they happen to be from Hampton Bay. They're probably not going to take me very long to install them. Do you need to be an electrician? No, heavens forbid. All you have to do is turn your light switch off. If you turn your light switch off, there's not going to be any power up there. There shouldn't be. I've also got a tester, and I'll do the due diligence and test it out. Now some people poo-poo the fact that, hey, you don't want to just turn off a light switch. You want to turn that on, make sure you got power up there, and then turn the breaker off. Lots of people like to turn the actual breaker off, because when you turn a light switch off, it actually turns the power wire off, the black wire, not the neutral wire, apparently. Now, I've never had a problem getting shocked touching the white wire or anything, but maybe if you touch the white wire and a ground wire, or the white wire in a metal box, could you get shocked? I don't know. I don't know for the fact. If you happen to know that, you can send me a comment and let me know. Okay? But I've always just turned off the light switches. So if you want to go one step further, turn the actual breaker off. Now, I wasn't going to tell you about this part, but speaking of light pendants, we were thinking about putting one there and over there where those light fixture junction boxes are. That's where the track lighting used to be. And we're not going to do that. As you know, we're going to install these. Okay? I'm going to install that. You don't need a track with a head that you screw onto the track, that you click onto the track. This is all one, because the junction box is in the ceiling there. Then you can swivel this head however you want. But speaking of pendant lights, well, we were looking at this, and they just happen to have some can lights above this little bar area where this counter is for the kitchen, and that is controlled by a light switch here. Yeah, see, and they actually did us one favor. They put it on a dimmer switch, and that's for those two lights there. Wouldn't it be nice if I could figure out how to put pendant lights there? And did you know you can retrofit an eyeball can light, whether or not it's a 4-inch, I think these are 6-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, or 6-inch. You should be able to take all that out, go down to the store, and get a different type of trim cover that then you can hook up to a pendant light. And I'm going to look at that another time and see if we can't do something like that. That might be kind of nice, don't you think? Having it above this bar area, have these pendant lights come down maybe to eye level or something, and have some blue ones there, or one higher than the other, or the same height, or kind of a red color, maybe kind of like that color, to bring some more color in here. A red, kind of the same color as this stained glass, you know, this red, or a blue, like the cobalt blue. I think we're going to look at that some other time. But there's another idea for you when you're talking pendant lights. All right, Joe, let's get on with it. Now, I'm getting ready to put these up. These are up pretty high, and if you've been watching lots of my videos on the condo rehab, you'll have known that we brought over an 8-foot ladder for all of this stuff. You know, a 6-foot ladder just wasn't cutting it when you have 10-foot ceilings, when you have cathedral ceilings and all kinds of stuff. We got all kinds of high ceilings in the other room and stuff. I still happen to have that around, so I gotta muscle that out of the garage. And if you ever get a ladder from the store, I always would recommend you getting this type of ladder right here. This is called a Werner ladder. It's a fiberglass ladder. And they have all kinds of different colors. The different colors mean something. They have, this is one of the higher end. They even have one that holds more weight than this one, a red one. So they have red, orange, what else do they have? Green, yellow, blue, and each one is for certain weight limits on there. So make sure you look at them and pick the one you need. They got these, and I've even got one. I even used to have one like this that was only 3 foot tall. So, but the standard ones are 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot. I even used to have a 12-foot ladder. Oh, that sucker was heavy, but it was, you know, hey, when you need a tall ladder like that, you need one. So Werner's the way to go, but specifically a fiberglass ladder rather than a wood ladder. If you get a wood ladder after having it for a few years, it gets all wonky and it gets all wobbly. And even an aluminum ladder, you get an aluminum ladder that's all this color, they're just not as strong and as stout as the fiberglass ladders. Yes, fiberglass costs you more, but they're well worth it. Get one if you need it. I'm just about ready to start my project. And did you notice something that I did that you should never do? These have been sitting like this for months now. We've been in here for a while. You should never leave your wires exposed like that. See there? Had I've had the light fixture or the light switch turned on, had those two wires been close to each other, touching each other, it could have sparked, caused a fire, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, now do you know how to know which way's on and off? Well, off on a paddle switch. If it's a single pole switch, meaning one switch goes to just one location, okay, is always down. If they've installed this right, there's a top to it and a bottom. Usually it'll say top on the actual light switch when you install it. Okay, but not all of them are single pole. Some could be a three-way, meaning you might be able to turn these lights on at 2 different locations. See, there's a light switch there, but that one I know happens to go outside on the deck. There's a light on the deck, and that just goes for that. Okay, so I know it's not that one. But if I do that, I should have power on those wires. And just for kicks, let's just leave it. Let's just leave that switch like that. And I'm saying it should be on. Okay. And we'll just get up there with my wire tester. I got to be careful because I'm pretty sure those wires are hot now. My light on my tester should go on, and it does. There's a little orange light that goes on there. I don't know if you saw that or not. Okay. And so I'm going to turn that light switch off now. Doink. Turn it off. And let's just see what's going to happen here. Okay, it's off. I know it's off there. Okay. Even if I touch the white to the ground, nothing. White to black, nothing. But some people swear that that white wire could still be hot because it's a neutral wire, and that has to be included to make the circuit whole. If you know anything about that, let me know. Because like I say, I don't normally turn the breaker off. I usually turn just the light switch off. And some people, I've gotten messages, comments before poo-pooing me saying, hey, Joe, you shouldn't be doing that. You should actually be turning the breaker off because the white wire still has power. It's a neutral wire, and it still has power to it. Okay? But for my purposes, I don't think it does. I just don't think it does, but I could be wrong with that. But I'm not going to turn the breaker off. I'm just going to leave the light switch off. I thought I'd show you what I'm looking at. And have I ever installed one of these exactly? No, I never have. I've installed lots of light fixtures before, but not this type. Not this particular one. And it shouldn't stop you from doing your project, okay? If you can install one light fixture, chances are you can install them all. And I'll just have to be careful with that. I'm going to make sure I read the directions on here, and I'm also going to save this in case, for some unknown reason, the light itself, if it ever burns out. Now, chances are it's not going to, but if it gets broken by accident, if the circuit shorts out for some reason and it blows a fuse and the light goes out for some reason, I want to see if I can't just order the new light. And lots of times you can, and there'll be the manufacturer's phone number in here and stuff, and sure enough there's a phone number here and that kind of stuff. And if you're having any issues with installing it or anything, look on here and there'll be directions there too and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to open this up, and I like the fact that most times they give you wire nuts just in case if you don't have any wire nuts and stuff. Here's the little mounting bracket, and I'll have to look at that and read the directions on it probably. Oh, okay, it's going to go like that. This is going to be facing in. Here's a ground screw. This section is going to face right inside the box. This is going to fit right over the sheetrock. And here's your trim screws and stuff, okay? So take note of all your stuff. Pull it all apart. Be careful as you're pulling everything apart and everything. You don't want to just do it willy-nilly and then find out something goes wrong. But you know, you learn as you go. That's just how it always works. You learn as you go, and if you can install this one, then chances are you can install the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And it doesn't look that difficult. And I'm gonna have to look at that because I know that head can be adjusted, and I don't see any set screws on it. Okay, you can pull it out like that, and then I think you can just twist it whatever direction you want. Okay, and then you can angle the head, and it looks like all that is self-contained. They used to have a nut on the outside where you could do it, or some set screws or something. There's nothing on here. They you know, every year they come out trying to make something a little bit newer, a little bit easier to install for the do-it-yourselfer and all that kind of stuff. And so that's a good thing. Okay? So now that I see what I've got, I'll look at the directions if I need to, and I'll get ready for my project. Now, before I do that here, let me pull these wires out of the back gently. Usually there's always a copper wire. That's going to be my ground wire. And I know I'm going to have to attach that to the ground screw. And I also know that the ground wire inside the box has to be connected too. Okay, so I'll have to make a decision what to do with that. I got a white wire and a black wire. Look familiar? Up in the light fixture, I got a black wire sticking out, I got a white wire sticking out, and a ground wire sticking out. You see anything hard about this? I don't. And see, this transformer sticks in there, and it looks like it's designed to fit right in that way, and this is going to be vertical up in the box and all that. Okay. Had I had a round box up there instead of a square box, it still would have worked. You would have just had to figure out where to install that. So it seems pretty simple. Okay. All right. I think I can do it. Bye, Joe. There's one more thing I want to do down here on the ground before I get going too far. Now these wires are always stranded. Usually they're stranded wire. And I always like to take the ends and kind of straighten them and twist them together. I like to do that before I get the light fixture up. And I'm looking at that, and I don't know if I want to strip that wire back a little bit. Just a hair more, so that I've got more of this sticking out. Because I like to, on stranded wire, I've got solid wire up in the ceiling. I like to take this and kind of wrap it around the copper solid wire up there before I put the wire nut on. I don't like to just put this next to the copper solid wire and do it. You know, you can, but there's not that much sticking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and strip those back a little bit with my wire strippers. And I never know which little one to do. And so what I do is I kind of go all the way around, and I do it on a bigger one and try pulling that off. Last thing you want to do, see, now I can wrap that around. I got more like a 5/8 of an inch sticking out, more than a 1/2 inch, rather than like 3/8. I don't like to strip it with too small of a hole, thinking, okay, yeah, that's the right one, and then just jerk it off. Because if you get it in the wrong hole, let's say, you can strip off, you can pull off half your little stranded wires, and that's not a good thing. So even if you got too small, I just kind of clamp down on it, and then I twist it around, clamp it, twist around, clamp it, get it on a bigger one, pull it off if I can. Even take it on a bigger one if I want. Okay? And not one single little strand came off. Okay? All right. Okay, I got those. Okay, all right. Now I'm done with that on the ground, ready for when I get ready to install that up on the ceiling. I always like to do that first. I don't like to do that when I'm up there getting ready to wire it up. Okay, so I'm going to get up there, and I'm going to look at those wires first here. Remember, I still got my light switch off, and I'm going to take a look at that. I'm going to test this again, just for my own well-being. And if you haven't used your tester for a while, test it in something that you know is working first, okay? And this junction box happens to have these wires. There's only one set of wires in here, one black wire, one white wire, and a ground wire. So I'm just going to straighten that stuff out like that. Now see, I know this one is going over to the other ceiling box, because I'm going to be installing two of these, one here, one over there. So I know where the light switch is over here, the wire goes up over to that light first, and then from there it's daisy chained, and that wire comes over here. That's why I only have one set of wires coming down. Okay, and so I'm gonna look at this, And see, this has a zippity doodah here on it, and I don't know if I'm going to really need that on there. I don't know if I do or not. And I've got to get the box, I've got to get that mounting box up here and double check it. Okay. And I see the end of that has just a little imperfection on it, so I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to straighten that out if I can. Okay, like that. This one has almost a 1/2 inch strip back on it. This other one's got a little less, so I'm gonna strip this one back just a hair, just because I can. Okay. I'm also looking up in that box, and I've got to decide what to do here, because I've got to look at my mounting screws, and usually the plastic boxes are flush with the sheetrock. Now this box, it's like they mounted it flush with the wood before they installed the sheetrock, and so the box is up. And this sheetrock, I don't know if it's 5/8 or 1/2 inch, but anyways, the box is beyond that. So I know that the mounting screw has to go up that far before I can even hit the box. And so on my mounting screws, I take a look at the mounting screws, and let's just look at this here for a second. Let's just look. Now see, these are the mounting screws they gave me. You see what's going to happen right off the bat? These mounting screws have to go in a 1/2 inch before they even hit the plastic box. And once they hit the plastic box, probably the first 1/16 of the plastic box, there's not going to be much thread. And so about a 1/16 of an inch of this mounting screw is going to fit up into that box. So first off, I know these mounting screws are not going to work. Okay, what else can I do? They didn't give me anything else, did they? Well, I always carry other things. So like for these screws here, I'm going to save them. I'm going to put them in my box with machine threaded screws, because I can always use those for something else, can't I? And I always carry, if you know by now, if you've been watching my videos, you know I carry drywall screws, the coarse threaded drywall screws. I usually always carry 1¼ inch, 1 5/8, 2 inch, 2½ inch, and 3 inch screws. So my 1¼ inch ones would probably work, or I can use 1 5/8. So I'm gonna go get those screws, and then I'll have to decide which ones I'm gonna use. Probably the 1¼ inch should be fine. But if you use longer ones, can you use longer ones in those plastic boxes? Yeah, I've used 1 5/8 before in those plastic boxes, and the threads just go right in with no problem, and generally it doesn't split out the box or anything like that. And where the hole is, if it goes in a little bit further, it goes in a little bit further into plastic, and you should be fine. So in this case, if I got 1¼ inch or 1 5/8 coarse threaded drywall screws, it'll work. Let's see, here, 1 5/8, and these are coarse thread. You always want to look at that, because drywall screws, did you know they have fine threads too? And the fine thread, you're not really supposed to use those for wood. You use those for sheet metal studs and sheet metal work, okay? But these are coarse threaded, meaning big threads going into wood. Now here's my my 1¼ inch screws, and again, they're coarse thread. I don't have many, do I? I've always come prepared. I've got a whole other box of 1¼ inch, and I could throw the rest of these little screws in my 1¼ inch. And they don't seem very long, do they? But they're 1¼ inch. That's from the tip. We know the first 1/8 inch or so, I'm not going to get any holding power into that box, am I? So then you have to decide, do you have enough threads going in your box? I'm probably going to have from here to there in my box. Okay, I've got to decide, is that enough? I think it is. I'll have to check it and try one, and if it's not, then I'll graduate up to the 1 5/8. Okay, and do they make 1 1/2? Yeah, I think they do, but I just very seldom do I use 1 1/2, because if you're installing, like, say 5/8 sheetrock, you got to use 1 5/8 screws, I believe it is, not 1 1/4 and not 1 1/2. Now I've always used 1 5/8 screws for 5/8 sheetrock, 1 1/4 screws for 1/2 inch sheetrock, and then anytime I do other little projects, I've always got something that'll work. And you know, they even have these drywall screws that are 1 inch. You've got to look for them, and it's hard to find them at the store. But I very seldom will need the 1 inch ones, but every once in a while, if you've got to have 1 inch, just know that they carry those too. Okay, I guess that'll be good enough. I hesitate to get it too much closer. I think you can see what I'm going to do from there. Okay, so I've got my 1 1/4 screws up here. I've got my 1 5/8 up here, and I've got my ground screw in here, and I'm trying to think, what am I going to do with that? And I guess I can decide that here in a minute, right? I don't have to decide that right this minute. Maybe I'll go like that. And let that one kind of go out that way. Because see, I got to get this in there, like so. I just have to push those over. I want enough of my ground so I can wrap it around that screw. I guess I can put it that way, like that. Okay, like that. And let's see if my 1 1/4 screws. You see, look at that. My 1 1/4 screw is right there. Is flush beyond, and so it's barely going in. So that's something. So my 1 5/8, are those going to work? Yeah, those are going to work just fine. And got a little sheetrock that's coming out there. I'll make sure. Okay, I see it. I see it right there. And I can just hold it up there like that. Get it started. Am I a licensed electrician? No. Do you have to be a licensed electrician to be able to install your light fixture? Heck no. What for? I don't see any reason why you would have to. As long as you take care, knowing what you're doing and all that. I got a ton of how-to videos on my channel having to do with electrical. And if they're on there, I know you can do it too. Okay, or else I wouldn't put them on there. Alright? Salad. Okay? So that's supported up there nice. I've got that over here and that. I don't think I need to like really cram those screws up there any more than that. That should be fine, right like that. Okay, my 1 5/8 drywall screws came in for me at clutch time, and they will for you too. Make sure you get 1 1/4 inch, 1 5/8, 2 inch, 2 1/2, 3 inch. They always come in handy, let me tell you. Now to figure out what to do with that ground wire. Now what to do with that ground wire? Okay, you see there's a loop on that ground wire. I can reuse that, or there's a couple of different ways I can do this. Because on the bracket itself, there's that ground screw, right? So what I could do is I can make that ground wire straight, or I could cut that loop off because there's enough room on it. Then I could reach in there further, wrap the ground wire, the solid ground wire, around that screw, the ground screw, just once, and then tighten it up and leave the rest of that ground wire sticking out, right? I could do that. Or I could take that ground wire and I could wrap it around that green screw, and I could take the ground wire that's coming from the light fixture, and I can wrap that around that wire too. Now, remember how long this wire is. You see there? It's probably, maybe 6 inches coming out of there. I could wrap that around the ground screw. I could wrap that solid wire around the ground screw and then do it, but that doesn't give me a very good connection. Another way I could do it is I could take this and wrap this one around the ground screw up in here. Reach up in there and wrap it right there, wrap it around, tighten it up, and then let this stick out. And then attach this to the ground wire coming out of that box. So there's several ways to do it, okay? I just got to pick one and decide which way to go. Okay, have you decided which way you're going to do it? Well, I'm gonna decide. I've got my wire nuts up here, got this fixture up here. I gotta be careful with that. I don't want that to fall, do I? I'm gonna undo this screw, this ground screw, and I mean, here's the other thing. Don't even have to use that ground screw. This box, or this bracket, is screwed to a plastic box. And they just do that all the time. They always put a ground wire. Could you take the ground wire from the light fixture and attach it to the ground wire here and not even attach it to the box? Yeah, probably. You probably could, but I'm thinking I could wrap this, because I thought if I can get it on that and let it hang down, then I can let go of this light fixture without having to put a wire nut on there, for instance. Right? And so I'm trying to wrap it around the green screw, and you see I only have a little bit of wire left. Then I would have to attach that with that, push it back up in the box. I could probably do that. And this is only going to hang down that far. But, this light fixture, I could probably do that. Like that. What do you think? I think there's enough to mess with. And the light fixture's not very heavy. And so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up here. I've got the ground wire wrapped around, and now I should be able to let go of this like that. See, and it's just hanging from there. Okay, and before I do the ground wire, I think just for the sake of safety, I don't think that ground wire is ever going to break off, but I can take my white wire, let's say, let's figure this out. And take my white wire here, and I'm just going to kind of wrap the end around there a little bit. Take my wire nut, put it on there. That's in case the ground wire screw wants to fall off, or the ground wire wants to break, pull off. I don't think it ever will. Let's see. Now I've got the whole thing up here. I could have stripped the stranded wire a little bit more, but you know, I didn't, to wrap it around a little bit further, but it's okay. Once you think you got it tight, pull on the wires, especially the stranded wire. Make sure it doesn't want to come out. Because sometimes, believe it or not, you might think, oh, I'm fine, and you go and pull on one of the wires, and son of a gun, it comes right off. Because of how it's threaded on there. Okay, so now I've got my ground wire, and am I going to cut it? No, I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to undo the loop-de-loo on the end, and it's got a little sheetrock mud on it that I'm probably going to have to just kind of scrape off a little bit and clean off. I don't want to make my ground any shorter if I can help it. Okay? By code, you're supposed to have 6 inches coming out of the box. Okay? And I got, maybe barely 6 inches. I wouldn't want to cut it up here just so I could put a wire nut on here, see? I'm going to have to take my solid wire and just kind of refashion it to where I can get to my ground wire, okay? And then I'll have to push all of that up into the box. And that one I can wrap the ground wire a little bit, kind of like I did the others, and put my wire nut on. Can you believe it? It's on the ground somewhere. Oh, here it is. And once I do that, I've got to still have enough room for this box to fit up in there, remember? And so I'm going to have to be strategic about that. And see how I'm going to do that. That's going to be tricky in itself. But I can do it. I can do it somehow. Somehow I can probably finagle it in there. Let's see if I can't get the wire nut in there. Okay, I got it kind of pushed up in there, and I want to see how this is going to fit. Ooh, look at that. Oh no. Look at that. Because that transformer is in there. Are you kidding me? I think I may have to notch out the side of the sheetrock on both sides in order to fit that up, to fit the screws in and all that. It's not a whole lot of sheetrock on both sides, but it's a little bit. Can you believe that? Okay, so I'm going to have to measure this 2.5, and see the box is about 2 inches. I'm going to have a notch on both sides of the box, and this thing sticks up out of here. Wow, right out about 5/8 of an inch. And I think that's about what I have to fit up in there. Unbelievable. That's kind of hard to fathom. I guess these are really designed to fit into a round box. Because where the notch is, I can't go that way. I don't believe. Now let's just measure this. Okay, that's 2 1/2. And that's 2 1/4. I know it won't fit up in there that way. Son of gun. Unbelievable. So that's going to have to go up like that. And I've got to notch the sheetrock out. And it looks like depending which way I hold it up there is going to be dependent on which way I notch that. Boy, I think I'm going to have to go this way. And most of the notch looks like it's going to be on this side. Wow. And then I'm still going to have to finagle those wires up in there, and the wire nuts and all that. This is a little bit trickier than I thought. Or the wires can fit up inside around here. I guess I could do it that way. And yeah, that's how I'm going to have to do that. Okay. Wow. I'm going to have to do a little measuring there, notch that out, and see what I can do. A little bit trickier than I thought initially, but we'll get her. Well, look at that. I wasn't really prepared to make a big old mess all over the place. I should have put a drop cloth back down, but I didn't. And here's what I had to do. See how I notched the sheetrock over here and over there? And then I had to reposition my wires so that the white wire is kind of coming this way, and the black wire, the solid wire, is kind of wrapping around this way, and it will fit in here. Then I can kind of push it up. I was able to get the ground screw pushed way up in there, just barely. Okay, so I got that one out of the way. And then I can kind of zigzag it up there, and it should be able to fit. And then the mounting, see the mounting screws that come down, they fit through there, and then they get attached with these little nuts. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so I'll get up there and get her done. Well, I'm having a heck of a time with that one. I should have checked something first. And here's the other one. And here's the bracket. And see, these fit in there and come out the front like that, see? Now, for some reason, that one's not fitting. And I looked at it, and it's the same as this one. And you see there's other holes where you can loosen this up, unscrew that, put it in a different hole, and you can make this wider. Well, they didn't really have to do that because these are supposed to fit. Well, son of a gun, can you believe that me trying to do the same thing with that one up there? Once I get it, one side fits, the other side is short by about 3/16. 3/16, so I can pull this back out, undo this nut, undo this screw, put it in there, and I think it'll fit, but see, that might just barely be too big. And I don't really want to drill the hole any bigger. You know, these mounting screw holes. because then the nut won't fit. See, that goes on like that. Where's my mounting screws? See, here's your mounting trim that gets put on there. That's what's going to be left. I don't want to have to drill that hole out to make it bigger. And I don't know. Like I said, I should have checked that. But hey, my loss is your gain. When you get ready to check something like that, see what's going on, and maybe I can bend this out further, and then hold it up there and see if it'll fit. You know, I measured, and maybe they bent the bracket just a hair short. Why it's not fitting, I will not know, because this is supposed to line up. I tried it, and see how this is going kind of at a slight angle. See how when they bent that out, that can make this dimension from here to here different. So I may have to take that whole bracket out, bend it out, and remeasure it and try it again. So I may have to take that light fixture down or something, or not, hold it out, do something, and tweak this, because I have a feeling if I pull out one side, take it off, and put it in the next hole over, it's going to be too big. I'm going to have to mess with it and figure it out. I looked at that other one. It looks pretty much the same as this, but could I have bent it out a little bit? Maybe. I didn't think I needed to. Well, my loss is your gain. So I'm going to have to work on that until I can make it fit. Okay, I pulled it all down just so you can see. Pulled it all down, and you see, if you pull this out a little bit, can you see how if I just do that, I made those bigger. If I push this in like that, I just made them smaller. Okay, and that's what was happening. I just had to do something like that and then measure. And I looked at the outside from point to point, measured with my tape measure, 2 3/4 inches. And so once I put that in there, when I tighten it up, I'm going to have to measure from point to point after I tighten these two up and make sure I'm right at 2 3/4, because before somehow it got sucked in like that. And then it wouldn't fit. Okay, you got to be careful with that. So my loss is your gain. Did I do that for your purpose? I'll let you be the judge of that. All right, I got it up there. Now I have not adjusted it yet. I'm going to show you how to do that. But when I started putting those white caps on, the white caps I couldn't get tight. And it was still loose. And I thought, okay, what gives? I'm going to have to do something different. And on here, see what happens when I don't read the directions? On here, I noticed that initially these nuts were just ever so slightly loose. When I pulled it out of the bag, and I thought, well, that shouldn't be. I'm going to go ahead and tighten those up. So I tighten those up. Can you see? Those have to stay loose so that this can go up a little bit. You see, as I'm tightening this with the nut will only go on these threads so far, and if you got a little bit of a slop between the light fixture and the sheetrock, this screw needs to go up. As you're tightening it goes up, and then you'll be able to tighten that so it's snug with the nut. Okay, I'll have to remember that when I get ready to install this next one. Okay, and I don't know if they've got that shown in the directions or not. And before I do anything, remember before I check that, and let's just see if the light goes on. I have not checked this yet. 3, 2, 1. Look at that. The light does work. And now, you know, I'm going to have to get it angled down to the wall. But I think what I'm going to do, well, I guess I could figure it out now. Because see, remember this other one over here, I haven't installed this one yet, but once I get that light on, I want it to angle down to the picture. So I can measure from the ceiling down or from the floor up, like to the center of that painting. And then I can come over here and I can measure from the floor up to the center, and then I can angle that down. And I don't necessarily have to have it angled exactly as far as the other one or anything like that. I can do that however I want in actuality, but I should be able to just swivel that. And it's designed so that you can turn it whichever way. Let's get it turned on. And it's only on because the junction box in this other light fixture has more wires in it, and there's wire nuts in there, and then you've got just a black, white, and a ground wire sticking out of there. So when I install that, I'm just going to go black, white, ground, just like the other one. But there's wire nuts inside that box. Okay, and that's what's making this light go on. Okay, so now I can take that and I should be able to just gently, and I want to see, now see there's a definite stop on that side. I can see I can angle it this way but not the other way, and until I swivel it. Okay, so I'm going to have to swivel it that way, like that, and then I can angle that up to the wall, however I want. Okay, and I'll probably kind of leave it like that. Probably at night would be the best time to do that, and then I can get up there and adjust that however I want. Okay, I tried to be as careful as I could without getting any of my grubby fingers on there, because when you're working with wires and wire nuts and all that kind of stuff, if I were to put my finger up there and go like that, I'd leave a dark mark, because this is just flat paint, and then it would be hard to get it back off. So I don't really want to do that. I just had a little mark there. Okay, so that's going to be good for now, but at night I'll be able to tell. And since I'm going to put a dimmer on there, after I put the dimmer switch on, especially for this light over here, for that, I'm not going to be able to get that dimmer on there very well until after dark. Do you see what I'm saying? Then I'm going to have to climb up there, shimmy the ladder over there, do whatever I have to. And then when I dim it, then I'll be able to tell exactly where to adjust that light. Okay? And so for today, because I don't have a dimmer, I'm just going to eyeball it the best I can. And that's just going to give a little light off to the wall. You can't really see it over there. That's the light that it's going to give off. And if that's too much at night, I'll lift it up a little bit higher. You see what I mean? If I didn't want that one at all, I could have put wire nuts on it, put a blank plate over there, a white blank plate over there, let's say, and just had a light, same one that I'm installing, have just one up here for this painting over here. I could do anything I want. But because those two junction boxes were up there, you know, I got options, right? Right. Okay, so now that I've got that done, before I start this one here, I've got this couch here, and this is a pretty cool couch. This this little area here is designed, it flops up. In fact, let me just show you here real quick. Not that you really care, but we decided, because this was a condo, because it's next to the water and stuff, we would put in, this is kind of considered indoor-outdoor furniture, kind of. Well, the pillars are Sunbrella material. And see, before, this area here used to be carpet. We tore that out and put this planking, this vinyl planking. And then we decided to put this here. And so see, just take this out like this. This was pretty cheap. We actually got it at Costco. Lift this up and it goes down and it pushes in here like that. Isn't that cool? So now you can have your couch like that. And this other area is kind of like a chase lounge type thing. And that even opens. This whole base opens up like that, so you got all this storage underneath there. We kind of like that too. And I like pulling that out, watching TV. I don't like just coming, sitting on a couch normal. If this was a normal couch like this, I'd be sitting on the ground watching TV is what I generally do. But with this pulling out, now I've got plenty of room to lounge around, lay there, watch TV, do whatever, lounge over there. This thing was really cheap, and we got it at Costco. They don't have them. They don't have them every year or anything like that. So you got to watch for them. I think we found it on I saw it on TV at Moore's Furniture, MOR Furniture. I've seen these types of things too, and we got that, of course, Costco. And see, this stuff is just indoor-outdoor furniture, and we thought we'd just leave it in here. Hey, we can do whatever we want to do, right? Because it's a condo, and it's next to the outside, and there's water out there. I didn't want to be traipsing around in here. It's easier to clean this floor and stuff and keep it clean and all that. But like I say, before I do anything, before I start working on this one over here, now that I know I'm going to have to notch and do all that stuff, can you see? I had to notch the back side of that because the transformer sticks out, see? And because those are rectangular boxes up there and not round boxes, that's why I had to do that. Okay? So before I go over there, I'm gonna clean all this stuff up. I don't like leaving big old huge mess. And I got some drop cloths, and I'll set it over here. And luckily for me, I was like, how am I gonna get up there? And I thought, okay, I got the 8-foot ladder instead of the 6-foot ladder, and then I can straddle this, put one leg over there, one over here, and it's gonna be slightly awkward, but I'll be able to do it. And I'll be as careful as I can. When you get all done, make sure to clean up. If you don't clean up, you say, okay, I'm done, and you leave a big old mess like this, hey, you are not done. This is part of your project, okay? So remember that. So now all the things that I've learned a couple things myself, how to adjust this, and I had to even widen this out a little bit further, because once I tightened it up to the box, it had a tendency to want to squeeze back together. So I kind of bent this out a little bit further, and then when I screwed it up in there, it came right back into place where it was supposed to be. Okay, now that I know that and know to keep these nuts loose so that this can screw in and out, so when I tighten these little nuts caps, they're going to be snug, and the fixture is going to be tight to the sheetrock and all that, whether or not the box behind there is flush or what have you. And see, when I look up here at this one, this box is indentated well beyond the sheetrock. See that? I mean, usually plastic boxes are flush with the sheetrock. And so whoever installed those, the flunky installed them 15 years ago. The electrician said, hey, I need you to put these boxes up here for some light fixtures. Then the flunky, the apprentice, I call him the flunky, he probably put them flush with the sheetrock or with the wood up there. So when they installed the sheetrock, that's why the sheetrock's sticking down 5/8 of an inch. You see what I'm saying? And normally when you install plastic boxes, rough on wood, you let it hang down, and on the side of the box there's a little groove, little notch there, and you push that up flush with the face of the wall, the stud or the ceiling joist or whatever, and then you've got almost 5/8 of an inch of box hanging down, or a 1/2 inch. They usually do it at 1/2 inch because lots of the boxes are for walls. You generally most of your walls in houses and condos are 1/2 inch, and a lot of times your ceilings are 5/8. You know, not always, but sometimes. So if you put a plastic box up there, maybe it only sticks down 1/2 inch instead of 5/8. You see what I'm saying? And that's fine too. But either way, I got them, and I'm not going to show you anything on this one. This one's set up pretty much the exact same way as that. We've already seen right there. Let's show you that. See? White wire, the black wire, the curly Q on the ground. That was like that because that had a track light up there from before, the strip of track light, and then the square that went over the junction box, and then the ground wire connected however they had it over a screw, and that's how they did that. Okay, and like I said, I could have installed those back up there, but I decided, hey, I kind of like this. What do you think? You know, overall, as we're walking in from the condo, and we're up here, that's what you're going to see. That's all you're going to see is that. You know, I think that's nice. And see, these lights here hang down. I could direct those however I want. They didn't direct them because I guess they didn't think they had to, because in this little kitchen they had a little eyeball light there, a little eyeball light there, 2 lights here. If you didn't have all that stuff, you could have one of those angling down that way, one this way, or both of those, one that way, one that way. You'd never want them this way because as you're walking in, you don't want those lights to get in your eyes. You know, so you could angle those however you want. But I kind of like that. I think that'll be fine. It's white. The window frames are white. The sliding glass door assembly is white. The electrical outlets are white. The light switches are white. The baseboard is white. The trim down at the floor is white. The countertop's white. This is white. You see a theme here? The doors and door jambs are white. This here, I still got to refinish that. That's white. The stair treads, the side pieces are white. So, you know, that white just blends right on in, okay? That's kind of a good way to do things. Look around and see, before you get your light fixtures and your trim and your handles and all that kind of stuff, see how it's going to blend in. Because see this light fixture here, this is kind of like a nickel finish. Well, the faucet here is nickel finish. This little thing here is nickel finish. That's for your soap dispenser. Your handles here are nickel finish. This is like nickel finish, stainless steel. That all kind of blends in. That's stainless steel, that's stainless steel. And so that's why when we moved in here, Momi wanted all the hinges changed to nickel finish. I took all these down, repainted them. These were all gold, shiny gold, and the handles were shiny gold. So because she likes nickel finish and stuff, we thought, okay, we're going to change everything. So this is nickel finish. The hinges are nickel finish. When I get ready to paint that, see how this is gold here? Well, I got nickel finished ones there, you know, for when I get done with that. The light fixtures, we changed those, nickel finish and stainless steel and chrome finish. We did the same type of thing in the bathroom, so everything kind of has its place. Okay, I wasn't going to show all this, but so see, nickel finish. And that was kind of slick. You just kind of lift that up. And we did that because the other ones in the condo had those. And so we thought, hey, we'll just go ahead and match. So I took the old one off and did that. And here we got stainless steel, stainless steel, stainless steel. I got the light fixtures. Everything's a theme. See, this is like nickel finish here, and chrome finish there. And this, I haven't changed this yet. This is just a chintzy one, but I'll probably get a nickel. I could get a nickel finished one, but I thought, you know what, this one's shiny. That's fine, because this is shiny, that's shiny. This is shiny. That's probably okay. This is kind of tinny. It's not as nice as this, but this is nickel finish. And if I wanted to get a new towel ring, I would look at this, take a picture of this with the same design, okay? Take it to the hardware store and then try to get one with that same design here. That way everything matches up. So stuff like that you can do, okay? All right, enough of that. And then the light fix, and then the ceiling fan, we changed that to stainless, you know, a chrome one. This was white from before. She wanted something kind of modern, so we went with the 3-bladed. The ceiling hugger one instead of something hanging down any further. We just thought, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. She wanted it. I would have gotten one a little bit different, but hey, happy wife, happy life, I guess they say, right? So hey, that's what she wanted. That's what we put up. All right, so I'll show you once I get this one installed, and I'll show you that when I get done, and then we'll wrap this video up. Hey, thanks again for joining me. Okay, I'm just getting ready. See how I set everything up? I got some towels down here. I was able to straddle the ladder across there. I've got this all cleaned up, all swept up, all wiped down. That all cleaned up. That's all ready to go back. And I'll make sure I do a good job cleaning when I get down there. I even washed my hands so I didn't have any little black bits on my fingertips before I go up there and work on those wires. And I'm going to be smart this time. I know everything what to do. Hold that up there, notch the sheetrock, straighten out the wires, make sure on the bracket after I screw it in, make sure this is 2 3/4 across, because that was 2 3/4 across. If it's not, I'll bend it back out, tighten it back up, loosen these, have that screw ready, and all that kind of stuff before I even start. And I have a feeling I'm going to need to use some more 1 5/8 screws for the mounting bracket and all that kind of stuff. This second one's going to go up nice. Hey, last but not least, remember I turned the light on over there and angled that all that? Before you get going on the second one, don't forget about the first one if you turn that light on, okay? Because you'll have power back up there, so make sure it's off, not on. See, that should be on. Sure enough, it is. See, it's on over there. But make sure you got that off. I'm just about ready to cut the notch. You might be wondering, hey Joe, what are you going to use to cut the notch with? Well, I'm just going to use my sheetrock knife, and I just use that as a saw and do a little bit at a time and kind of scrape on it and stuff. And don't forget your goggles, okay? Gotta have your goggles on when you're cutting up above your eyes. It's very important. I went and got my goggles before I started cutting that other one. Okay? Very important you remember that. Okay, how does that look? Nice, huh? Now I got to clean up all my mess and stuff. And those little nuts up there, I tried to tighten them just hand tight, you know, but they can be tightened a little bit more. I took a little crescent wrench and just snugged them up just a hair. And I'm going to have to do the same thing to that one before I get done. So now I can pull this out, I can clean all this stuff up. I'm going to keep the mounting screws that I had extras. Yeah, I've got 4 mounting screws here that wouldn't work, but I'll save them for next time, keep the directions. And it has a phone number on there in case these lights ever burned out. Now, if you weren't with me at the very first of this video, I showed you those were LED lights. And most days now, everything's gone to LED. See, it says no bulbs required. Lots of times you get a light fixture like this and then you'd have to go buy bulbs for it too. No bulbs required, and it's dimmable. And I think this one is going to last, oh, I forget how long. Oh, it says 5-year limited warranty, but I read on here somewhere where it's supposed to last 47 years or something. Some ridiculous amount. It lasts up to 46 years. Can you believe that? Chances are that's never going to burn out, but if I hit it, or if the electricity goes out or something, or if a circuit snaps, or who knows what, if that ever burns out, I don't want to have to buy another one. I can just call the manufacturer, save your receipt and everything like that, and you might have to take the SKU, take a picture of the SKU number, put it on your computer, all that kind of stuff. If you don't want to save the box, save your receipt and stuff. And I don't know if they're going to need all that. If you just call them and you send them a picture of the light fixture that's installed, there's a number on here, so that's why I'm going to save that. Okay, then chances are they'll either send you a whole new one, or I'm not quite sure how those bulbs unscrew. I'm not even going to touch them. I'm not going to mess with it. It might unscrew and pull out, and then a little clip in there, or a prong. Who knows? I wasn't even going to mess with those, right? Because they say they're supposed to last 46 years. But on the off chance they don't, then you'll be prepared. Okay, so that's pretty close to the center of there, and this is, you know, it's just giving some light there. And like I say, once I get a standard dimmable light switch, and I'll take a look at the existing ones. I want to get this very same kind if I can, with the fat paddle here and the little paddle on the bottom for on off. This happens to be for the lights up here. And those were LEDs I installed, and they were dimmable. Look at that. And yeah, I got a 3-way dimmer switch that was 3-way. You can generally hook those up for single pole or for 3-way. Years ago, they used to have them where you had to buy one that said 3-way, and you had to buy one that said just a regular standard single pole dimmable. But now most of them will do either or, depending on how you hook it up. Okay, so I'm going to have to get a dimmable switch, and it's white. I'll take a picture of this so that when I go to the store, I try to match up. I don't like to just go to the store and get what's the difference? Well, they got 4 or 5 different kinds of dimmable ones. They got one where you turn it on off here, and you have a little slide over here, or maybe it's just this and not the paddle at the bottom. You push this all the way down and it clicks off, and then you push it up and it's on. You think, what's the difference? Well, not much, other than I like to match existing conditions. That way it'll look like I was never there. And so when I get a dimmable light switch, you know, I'll make a video of that. And worst case scenario, if you can't find the very same dimmable style light switch, what could you do? If you got 2 fairly close to each other, you could take one up in your bathroom way on the other side of the house. You can take that one out if you have a dimmable switch in there, or in the closet, or wherever you can find one. Maybe take that one, put it down here so it matches, right? And then you can get a different one that doesn't match, and it's all by itself somewhere else in your condo in your house. Okay? And that's all I have to say about that. That's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos. Well, I'm glad that project's done. That's not done until I get the dimmer. And once I get the dimmer and install the dimmer, then when it's really pitch black outside, I'll put the dimmers on, and then I'll have Momi, we'll dim it, and we'll see, because this light, when you dim it, maybe there's more light that's showing on the bottom instead of the top or instead of the center, and then it might make a difference where that is, okay? So that's a good way to do it before you call it good. All right, see you next time.